What's up, everybody? It's Josh, and I'm probably going to get a little rowdy here. I'm not really going to, hold back the way that. Well, let me start off by saying, it's like we're completely disillusioned as a society. Our resources are being plundered in the name of profits. The governments are running rampant, taking over other countries in order for land and for materials and for valuable assets and anything they can attain, because this society is all about me, 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 and take what I can get in my lifetime and be gone. It's sad because for such a religious country, we sure don't adhere to any type of principles of live and let live, or any of the principles that religion supposedly stand for. And that's what appalls me about religion sometimes, is that it's being used as a catalyst for attacking other countries, for taking over areas where people have been living for thousands of years, and telling other people which cultures and which customs they should be abiding by. But it goes so far beyond that. I make videos about things that I find in life that are positive, usually because I don't feel like I can really do anything about the bigger picture, as far as where do we stand, and how do we stand together as a group to take back this world. And these ignorant fools standing for capitalism as if it's this greatest thing that's ever been on the face of the earth. And we know where it leads, and we know where it came from, and we can study history and see the roots and see how we got to where we are right now. And those who are willing to do the work see that it's a much more complicated picture than this way or that way, or the people out there who really think that it matters. Let me put it this way: if you still consider yourself a Republican or Democrat, you're the people I'm talking about. I don't mean to be offensive to anyone here, but both sides of the coin are completely corrupted. It's not about people making decisions. We don't have a say in the choices that are made. We have a say in the leaders that we pick, to an extent. But once those leaders are in office, many of the decisions are made regardless of what the people want. And no matter how much they try to sugarcoat it, or make themselves look like they're for the people, or trying to help the people, it doesn't matter, because the system is not for the people. That's what I'm trying to say. It doesn't matter what kind of leaders we get into office right now. I hear a lot of blame on Obama. It gets old, because to me it should just be aimed at the structure itself. I know that Obama's the figurehead, so naturally he's going to take the brunt of it. I felt the same way about Bush. I was digging through my old clothes the other day, and I pulled out this shirt I made, and it was "Say No to Murder, Vote No on Bush Shit," and it was like this George Bush shirt. I made a bunch of them, and with these iron-on decals, and I printed my own shirts because I was so pissed off about 9/11. As far as I was concerned, we needed to completely disassemble this government. We needed to start over from scratch. We needed to abolish everything that we thought was valuable. And over the years since then, I've started to realize that this is a continual game that's being played with every president, it's being played with every office. Every new generation that grows up is suckered into the same shit. And we don't really have much of a choice in the matter, because the propaganda is paid for by the companies that we oppose, the companies that we support, the companies that we purchase products from. And we have these little movements and sects which try to take back certain parts of our heritage, The right to be born a free man or woman. The right to say, I'm going to declare myself an independent human on this earth, and I choose not to abide by this system that's been created around me or before me, because I am a new soul. I have a new right to, it comes down to human rights. What is a human right? Is it a human right to be able to live the way you want without being oppressed or taken advantage of? And that's a tough question, because we live in a society where we all have to work together, and the way I see it is the structure that's in place cannot just be torn down overnight. It has to be slowly rebuilt. And my biggest question is, how do we do that? What do we do to make an impact? As individuals, and each one of us has our own thing to do. Just merely speaking up for the truth is what's important. But the reason, sometimes I tend to scoff or tease at some of the trail, like the chemtrail theory, for example. Not all of them, but just certain parts of it, components, the ones that you can tell are just fear-based. The reason I do that is not because I'm trying to say that no, the government is not doing anything wrong, everything's fine and dandy. I'm trying to dispel the fears that people have, the irrational fears, especially the ones we can't do anything about. Perhaps we can do something about that, but the energy that's put into some of these conspiracy theories could be redirected to reformulate the way we see the world. There are people championing and saying, "Go USA." It's like I was listening to Joe Rogan earlier. He was just one of his earlier recordings, and it's funny because I used to say, "Oh, screw that guy. Who the hell's Joe Rogan? He's just a fucking dude from Fear Factory. What does he know about anything?" But after listening to him for a while, he grew on me because I'm a fan of Terence McKenna, and he's a fan of Terence McKenna. And so we share many ideas, and he gets it, He was saying, look at all these idiots, out here supporting this and that. The people that stand next to each other and back each other up with the most pathetic and ridiculous ideas, but they're based on an adherence to a oneness, okay? Let me try to reformulate this. I'm trying to figure out how to put this. A whole group of people sitting around and everybody's saying, "Go America," "Go America, yeah, we're the best nation. God chose this nation. Yeah, we're gonna get those guys, and we're gonna get those damn sand niggers and damn towel heads." And you heard it all after 9/11. I was I think I was, I went through a point in my life then where I realized how much a society can bind together. But unfortunately, the binding together always seems to oppose another group. You see? People come together over turmoil and problems which allow us to feel like we're one, but at the same time it seems like it's only when something we're resisting. Now sometimes, if there's an outside influence from nature, then it would be us against the harshness of nature, which was often the case when something horrible would happen. Say there was a major drought and a whole bunch of tribes had to come together in the past. This is the future I see for the world. We're not going to have a choice. We're going to have to get past our differences, but right now we're trying to hang on to that last thread of hope that we can survive as a country, at least in the United States. I can only speak for my country. I'd like to know the rest of the world as much as I do my own, but I can only speak for those around me. Nationality has reached a ridiculous frenzied pace, and when you speak against that, you're going against the troops. You're going against your country, and people will tell you, move out of your country if you don't like it. And I say, bullshit. If you don't like it, change it. And this is the world that we live in, and we have to deal with it. So it's okay to get mad. It's okay to be pissed off, because if you're not angry, you're not paying attention. But you have to learn how to harness that anger and use it in certain ways and channel it in order to try to make a difference. Writing your congressman at this point is a joke. I hate to say this, but voting has become a joke too. I'll probably vote, but it's not like I think my vote will count, because we know how that works. And all we're doing right now is supporting a commercial industry which produces goods for us, and then we continue to support that through allowing our government to take other resources in order to lessen the burden of taxes. It's this vicious circle that comes down to each one of us having to sacrifice a little bit in life. It's okay to want, it's okay to have desires, and it's okay to want material things without becoming attached to them. but you have to find that balance. Each person's going to, some people want to grasp more and more and more, and that power breeds more and more power, and then it breeds contempt towards those in power. And the people who have the power, their minds change. They become different people. They literally rewire their brains to defend their power at any cost. It has nothing to do with doing the right thing at that point, or pleasing the people, or even pleasing, those around them. It's about keeping in power no matter what. And if that means twisting the votes, so be it. If that means supporting oil industry, so be it. And meanwhile, people are screaming, we've got to do this, we've got to do that, we've got to stop this, we have to stop driving, we've got to stop burning coal and oil. All these things are true, but we've got to wean off, we've got to do it systematically. And I hate to say that billions of people will die, but if the government, if we were to restructure everything right now and start over, that's what would happen, because there's too many people dependent on this structure. Unfortunately, the government oversight may be weak, but with all the nuclear power plants operating in the world, those have to be maintained, and those have to be regulated, and we have to have agencies in order to regulate this. Doesn't mean we can't change them to be more functional, but we can't just go out tomorrow and shut all the nuclear plants down and say, all right, we're starting over. It doesn't work that way. So there's lots of little components to this that we have to consider. People have to eat. Food still has to be transported. Crops still have to be fertilized. Fertilizer is made from fossil fuels. The trucks take fossil fuels. So all this ranting about what we should be doing, or how it should be, all this idealism is nothing unless we find a path to doing that. And I think if we really make an effort and work together, we can do that. So thoughts are welcome as always. I'm trying to gain feedback on what people think we can really do. You form a group and it gets too big, and you overwhelm the people because they start to not trust you, you see. Groups are never trusted. Check the time on that thing. Groups will never be trusted. My belief is that the original intention of the mystery schools and later Freemasonry and many of the certain sects of religions and ancient texts were all designed to carry over knowledge of our past. And that knowledge was absorbed by leaders throughout history and twisted to fit their needs, twisted to get their disciples to listen, to get their people to listen, to get their students, to get their children, put the fear of God in them. And now we're kind of left holding the bag, trying to say things are not quite so simple. There's not just good and evil and angels and demons, and here we are living for this and moving towards that. Things are much more complicated than that. And I think we can all agree that the first thing we need to do is educate the next generation, and do it well, without fear. So, for all the kids out there, teenagers and whatnot, show them what you can, but don't fill them with fear. Give them hope, because we all need hope. Take care.